Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another story. Today we got one from author deepest underscore of underscore throats. Had to throw the underscores in there. It is called Every Night My Wife Sneaks Off to Watch Porn. Now that I've confronted her, nothing will ever be the same. I thought that sounded super neat. I'm excited to read this. It's from the Tales from the Creeps subreddit, which again is Creepcast subreddit, and I'm sure they have tons of super talented authors, so I'm excited to read this one. But first, in my life, look what I got. Bang. Pretty excited about it. Had to mention it. No, but I do want to thank everybody for the support on the last couple of videos. That Afghanistan one has over 2,000 views, which I think is crazy. Obviously, most people don't stay through the whole thing, whether it's a short video or not. It's just not normally how YouTube works. But I appreciate everyone who did, everyone who subscribed from it, everyone who liked, commented, everything about that. Then the last video, also, all the comments seem super positive and nice, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much. But that's pretty much all I have for me personally, so let's get right into the story. Every night, my wife sneaks off to watch porn. Now that I've confronted her, nothing will ever be the same. I've never really done one of these before, but it's as it says above. Every night, my wife sneaks out of bed and watches porn. I confronted her about it a few days ago, and now I'm at a complete loss. I'm not even sure where to start. I'm 38, and my wife Janet is 37. She's beautiful, has long blonde hair and pretty blue eyes. She's the love of my life, always has been, and we've been together since we graduated high school. We've been married a long time, a long and happy marriage that I wouldn't trade for anything. We're both loyal, always have been, and she's been my saint and savior through all of these years. All things considered, we live a pretty vanilla life, as I've heard people say. We have a nice house out in the country, in the middle of nowhere. We work hard during the week. I run a construction business, and she manages the accounts. And do what every other normal couple does as far as I know. We're a team, and we always have been. We've always been upfront with each other when there's an issue. We go out on Friday nights, go to church on Sunday. We don't have any enemies that I'm aware of, at least. Normal shit. We go to Luke Bryan concerts, for fuck's sake. I don't know why this is happening. I don't know what we did to start this. But I'm getting distracted. I don't know when this started, and I only know when I started noticing. About a week ago, I saw her slip out of bed for the first time and thought nothing of it. Everyone gets out of bed at night to pee, to get a glass of water, a snack. It's normal. I had no reason to think it wasn't. And I'm usually a heavy sleeper, but I happened to wake up that first night. I saw her crawl out of bed, step into her slippers, and leave the bedroom in a groggy state as I had seen her do over 100 times in our relationship. I checked the alarm clock on the nightstand, and it was just after midnight, like around 12:30. It doesn't matter. I thought nothing of this and went back to bed. Like I said previously, we run a construction business. We have a bi-level house, and our computers are side by side on the basement level. She handles calls, payroll, has woken up during the night before to double-check something she thought she forgot. I handle my own set of emails and estimates and what have you, so one of us burning the midnight oil is not uncommon. But the next day, when I got up, I found her sitting at the dining room table, silently drinking coffee. She looked haggard, like she hadn't slept at all, and when I asked her about it, she waved me off and just said she wasn't sleeping well. She's shy and stubborn, and usually wouldn't let me know something was wrong unless it was catastrophic. I gave her a soft hug and a kiss on the cheek, and I always did before getting ready for work. She jumped at my touch at first, before immediately apologizing as just saying she was a little tired from not sleeping so well. She gets annoyed when I pester her over things like that, so I just let it go and went back to being... Sorry, hearing a noise that I didn't expect to hear. My bad. She jumped at my touch at first, before immediately apologizing and just saying she was a little fried from not sleeping so well. She gets annoyed when I pester her over things like that, so I just let it go and went about getting ready to be on site on time. So here, normally in stories, honestly by now, I'm already like, alright buddy, you should be a little more suspicious than this. But they're doing a good job at setting it up well where it's reasonable as to why the husband wouldn't be suspicious at anything. Like, it's normal. You get out of bed, you do stuff. Especially if you have a job like that where, there can be stuff coming at all hours that you have to respond to and think about, which sucks. I would never, ever want to do a job like that. But, hey, it's just me. It's just me. I had a feeling something was up, but I let it go. I should have asked about it, and I should have done something other than go through the motions. Day goes fine, I come home, we have dinner, all that stuff. We relax and watch some television, and I turn in early because I had to be there extra early for the concrete guys. Nothing extraordinary, a totally normal day. She stayed up to have a glass of wine and watch reality TV. She does that sometimes. And I kiss her goodnight and head to bed. That night, I woke up again. As I blink the sleep from my eyes, I see her sit up, step into her slippers, and groggily walk out of the room and into the darkness of the hall. Again, normal. But I feel a little bad this time. Maybe it's stress and she's restless. I check the time, and sometime after midnight again. She doesn't usually stay up late, so she had to be sleeping for a few hours at least. I listen to her footsteps go down the hall and descend the steps that go into the basement. She didn't stop in the kitchen or use the bathroom, so I figured it had to do something with work. This time, I got up quietly to see what was up. Maybe it was something I could help with, and she wouldn't have to deal with it alone at night. So I put on my own slippers and crept down the hall so I wouldn't startle her. But by the time I got to the first landing and the bi-level stairs, I froze. She was at the computer, sitting the way she always did, with her feet tucked underneath her. She was sitting in the dark with the LED light of the monitor casting a glow over the basement. On the screen was porn, rough from the looks of it, like BDSM rough, and she was just sitting there watching in silence. I was shocked, to say the least. She's always been pretty shy, and this seemed kind of out of character. I didn't think it was a bad thing, just startling is all. I thought about going down and talking to her about it, but it felt kind of fucked up. I mean, everyone watches porn. I don't judge, as I also watch it myself. If you say you don't, you're lying. Anyway, I decided to creep back to bed without her noticing and let her have her peace. It didn't offend me. If anything, it was kind of exciting. She wasn't a prude or anything, and we had experimented a little in the bedroom, as all couples do. But that was pretty wild, and it took me by surprise. Janet and I didn't go out of our comfort zone much. We got tattoos once, little ones. I got a barbed wire band on my arm, and she got one of those little Jesus fish tattoos on her foot. One she could easily hide from her parents, even at her age. It's not like I had any grounds to be mad at her anyways. Even though I love my wife and she's very attractive, I found I have a thing with women that have a lot of tattoos and piercings. I don't expect Janet to do anything like that, but it's just my thing. Like, everyone has their things they look up in their own privacy. But her thing, it just felt like so much. I couldn't see much from my spot on the stairs, but it looked like a lot. Either way, I went to bed with a slight smirk and wondered if maybe I could use it to my advantage and spice things up. Maybe I wasn't providing something she was longing for. Now here, my only question, author. You got a link for me? Got a reference that you used when you were making the story? No, I'm just kidding. I think I'm wondering exactly how rough he's thinking, because he kind of drove home the point that it was some fucking rough porn. But how rough? Like, is it like fucking strapped up, full, or is it, I don't know. I do wonder that, because I feel like that'll probably play a point later on with how rough it was described, and considering this is a horror story about it. But I guess to figure that out, we'll just have to continue reading. So, continue on. The next morning, however, I found her just as I did the previous, sitting at the table, drinking coffee. She never got up this early on concrete days, and this time she looked worse, like she hadn't slept at all. I asked her if everything was alright, if she slept okay, all that stuff. without bringing up the night before. She seemed off again, disturbed even. Even after prying a little, she kept reassuring me everything was alright. It seemed like she was lying this time, but I didn't want to bust her out and embarrass her. It felt like I was peeking in on her time, and it didn't feel right. Although worried, I let it go and got ready for work as usual. The day passed, and I thought of her in the front of the computer the night before, sitting in the dark. I only felt a little betrayed, like I felt it was something she would be comfortable telling me. I would have dipped a toe into whatever she wanted me to, and I decided maybe she just thought it was too taboo. That night, we had dinner and settled in for some TV as we usually did. She seemed exhausted, and I asked her if she wanted to call it early, but she just shook her head no, busy scrolling on her phone. While we sat in the ambiance of whatever television program, I brought up a link to something I found on my lunch break, something to kind of break the ice on the subject without having to confess to seeing her in the act. It was a page on the Amazon Marketplace, a little cute pair of fuzzy handcuffs that come with a red ball gag. To my surprise, she was irate, shaken. She nearly screamed and swatted my phone to the floor and asked me why I would suggest such a thing, that it was disgusting, that I was disgusting. I was confused. I wanted to bring up the night before, but I couldn't believe her reaction, and it hurt for her to say what she said in such a way. In the end, I apologized and went to the bed in the doghouse as she opened a bottle of wine. Was it shame? Was she just embarrassed? I couldn't wrap my head around it. I didn't think it was that big of a deal, and I would have come clean about the alt-girl thing if she would have asked. That night, it was the same thing. I woke up after midnight to her sitting up, nearly shambling out of the room. No bathroom, no kitchen, straight to the basement. I laid there for a while, unsure of what to do. I could just let her go, but she seemed to be literally not sleeping. Why was she staying up so late watching that stuff? I crept out just as I did the previous day, to the landing on the stairs. There she was, sitting silently in the dark, staring into the screen. Another scene that looked way rougher than anything I had searched up. And she was watching it like she was frozen solid. I stood there for a while and watched her watch, and she never moved. It was like she was possessed. After a half hour, I returned to the bedroom and laid there for a while, wondering if I should go back to say something. In the end, I let it go in fear of overstepping and embarrassing her. I didn't sleep much, and when I woke in the morning, I felt groggy and shitty. But it was nothing compared to how she looked, sitting at the table like it was her new norm. Her eyes were sunken, and there were bags under them. She seemed jittery, paranoid, and even more distant than the previous day. I know this is kind of cutting off the story a little bit, but I'm wondering if this is just a story about porn addiction, because honestly, I fuck with that. That's a honestly great theme to write a story about, because that's relatable to a lot of people. But I'm wondering if this is going to go full paranormal, and it's like her being possessed or some bullshit, or not that that'd be bad, or if it's just going to be like porn addiction's bad, it destroys you. Either way, I'm going to be happy with where it goes, I'm sure. The routine was the same, except we talked less, and she was shorter with me. I couldn't figure out why. It seemed so sudden and strange. It was just porn. It's not like she was a serial killer. This time, I decided I would confront her about it. Maybe if I caught her in the act, she would open up a little bit. After work, it was the same song and dance. Dinner, TV, off to bed. She was so exhausted she went with me this time, but fell asleep shortly after her head hit the pillow. I watched her sleep, wondering what the hell was happening, and I stayed awake long after, staring at the ceiling, waiting. Just when I thought it was over, or I had imagined the whole thing, I felt her stir. Just after midnight, she sat up, straight down the hall, right downstairs to the computer. I waited a few minutes to let her get settled in before making my way down as quietly as I could. Down the hall, stairs, and into the shadows in the monitor's glow. She was sitting there like usual, but this time she was positioned so she blocked the screen. I crossed the room quietly, and as I drew closer, I could start to hear the audio through the computer speakers. It was soft but busy, like the woman involved was having the time of her life. It reminded me of one of those Owen Gray videos, and I wondered if maybe she had dialed down the content to something a little more tame and attentive to the female actress. But the closer I got, the more I realized I was mistaken. It wasn't moans of pleasure, but screams of agony, like someone was being tortured. The shrill noises gave me the chills, and I felt sick to my stomach. Janet didn't move a muscle, and her eyes plastered to the screen that was blocked from view. Another pained wail echoed from the video, and I started to feel nauseous. "Janet?" I called out, my own voice startling me. She didn't jump, didn't wheel around to see me. She just stayed there, her feet tucked under her as she watched. I took another step closer, and she spoke, barely a whisper over the computer's audio. Her words made my blood run cold. "Help me." "Babe," I said louder, this time rushing to her side. I put a hand on her shoulder to shake her, but it was like trying to move a stone statue. When I looked at the screen, I was completely repulsed. Playing on the computer was a video of a woman being brutalized. She blindfolded, bound, and gagged, her entire nude body covered in a film of blood. Surrounding her were 3 men clad in black, each wielding a stained, blunt object that they took turns hurting her with. A bat, a hammer, brass knuckles. They looked over her slowly, their faces shielded by a plain porcelain mask. The woman begged for her life as they bruised muscle and broke bones, her hair a matted mess of crimson and blonde. As I watched in horror, the hammer wielder went to work on her toes. "What the fuck?" I shouted. "Help me," Janet muttered, unable to move. Tears streaked down her motionless face, her eyes bloodshot. "I can't look away, help me," she muttered, her hand balled into fists in front of her. "Good God," was all I could mutter, before frantically trying to turn off the video. I moved the mouse and tried to close it, but the cursor was nowhere to be found. The blonde screamed. "Turn it off, please." "I'm trying." I pushed the button on the monitor, but it wouldn't power down. "Why is it me?" "What?" I mashed the escape button. Nothing. "Why is it me?" she repeated. "It's not you, honey, it's not." I felt for the power cord and started to tug, reeling in the slack. "It is. It's me. Why?" she deadpanned, unable to even quiver her lip. "It's not." I looked at the video, to the poor woman wailing in pain. Her body was identical, sure, but there were plenty of blonde women. My thoughts went blank when I saw her feet, the stained skin above the shattered toes, the Jesus fish standing out amongst the blood. The men in the porcelain masks stopped beating her up to look up. All 3 heads craned the same way, not at Janet, but at me. I grabbed the power cord out with both hands and pulled, ripping it out of the wall. As we were left in the dark, Janet sobbed. Okay, so it's looking like this is going closer to Supernatural, but it doesn't look full Supernatural like I expected. Like I was thinking Wendigo type thing, or my wife has been peeking at me around corners and, that type of series thing. But this is looking like, like these people are magically beating the shit out of her in the future. Pretty cool concept. Not where I expected it to go. I'm excited to keep reading. That night, we called the police. With every light on in the house, we waited for the strobe, and I held Janet in my arms to comfort her. She was inconsolable for a while, and she spoke in broken sentences. "I kept waking up there. It was always me. Why was it always me?" Her words will haunt me forever. The police report went about how you'd expect. A very unenthused and impatient officer made his report and asked a bunch of questions neither of us really had answers to. "What do you mean it was you? What browser was it? Could you bring the video back up? What do you mean you? And are you sure it wasn't just a scary movie?" He looked at us like we were crazy. I had tried to bring up the video after barely getting the monitor plugged to hold, but there was nothing to find. No browser history, no mysterious email, nothing. In the end, the officer left and said to call again if the same thing happened, but it felt disingenuous and annoyed. I shut down the computer and we watched the officer go, and I did my best to comfort my wife until she was ready to lay down. That night, I locked every door in the house and held her as she slept. To my surprise, sleep found her quickly, and she slept through the night. She didn't want to talk about it much, and I don't blame her. As days went on, in fact, it was almost like it never happened. Somehow, she seemed to put the images behind her and carry on with work at her computer. After I bought a new monitor, of course. She sleeps sound and smiles again, and things feel just as they did before she started getting up in the middle of the night. I always make sure she falls asleep before me, and when the clock rolls after midnight, she continues to snore. When I make coffee in the morning, I don't find her sitting at the table. I don't tell her about me waking up in the middle of the night. I don't tell her about the bright screen of my monitor and how I find myself sitting in the computer chair watching a familiar scene. Sometimes the weapons are blunt, sometimes they're not. Sometimes the injuries stay on the outside. Other times I'm forced to watch what lies within. The screams don't wake her, and I sit and watch the blindfolded man with the barbed wire tattoo beg for mercy until the screams are no more. The porcelain men are getting more creative as time goes on, but I keep watching. Even if I had a choice, we're a team, her and I. At least I know she's sleeping soundly again. I don't know where this came from or how it found us. I don't know what it is or why. I don't know what to do. What do I do? It's the end of the story. Damn, that was a good twist at the end too. I don't know where. I was kind of thinking that this would end with just like a unexplained, maybe he sees porcelain men, whatever, something like that. I, for some reason, didn't expect him to also have that same treatment. That's awesome, though, if I'm being honest. And I think it's awesome that he watches through it. But I'm kind of wondering, how long do you think it'll last before he gets taken in real life? Do you think he'll ever get taken, or do you think this is like computer scream only? Because I think that's where the real horror this all is real horror. I think that's where like the horror's coming from, though. Because personally, like, maybe I'm crazy. I think I could watch myself get tortured and be fine. But if I watch myself get tortured and know this shit's gonna happen to me, I don't think I'd be fine. I think I'd actually be very not fine, if I'm being honest. So, yeah, no, I do wonder. But I think that is awesome. I think that was a very good story. I think the concept was super cool. Again, maybe I'm dumb, but I didn't expect that to happen any of the ways it did. I was throwing out my predictions beforehand, and, as all of you heard, I was wrong. But, no, I think that was really good. Deepest of Throats, liked your story. Yeah, but it looks like the other comments also agree with me about the ending specifically. Yeah, no, I think that's awesome. One person says there's an implication that it's a loop, which, yeah, right? I'm a big fan. I've been looking for a kind of classic no sleepy story to read recently too, because all the stuff I'm reading, it's like real stories, and that's not the correct way to put it, but the format difference is real big for me, and I've been looking for no sleep, and I think this was a very good one. So I'm glad I read this today, and I'm glad you listened to it. 2-sentence horror story time. Yeah, sorry I kind of rambled on there. I just kept talking, and I've been really bad about not knowing what to say today, but it happens. So this 2-sentence horror story, I stayed kind of on brand with the story we just read too, and has a little bit to do with sex, so get excited. Okay. The night my friend's twin died, she was so emotionally fraught, she asked me for sex as a distraction. Afterwards, she said, "If I survive the separation surgery, would you like to do this again?" Yeah. That was a good one today. That was really fucking weird. I should have chosen a different one. My apologies. No, that was alright. Really, the only implication there is that necrophilia? Enter that in the comments. Is that shit necrophilia? Because that seems like necrophilia to me. Whatever. I gotta get this video done with. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about anymore. Let me know in the comments any stories you want me to read. I need the recommendations. I put a post on Reddit. My Reddit name is the same as this YouTube channel, Garrett Pasta. Put a post on there asking for everyone's favorite creepypastas. So I've kind of compiled a list from that. I only really want to read the things I haven't read so far. So the big things like Pen Pal, Baraska, 1989, 99. Unless a bunch of people are specifically requesting those. If you really want to hear Garrett Pasta read it as opposed to all the big creators, go ahead. Let me know. I'll do anything because I do enjoy reading them. I feel like I get more from it because I'm not the most attentive person. But yeah, let me know. Also let me know long videos, short videos. This one is a little longer than the last one, but a lot shorter than the one before. But yeah, I think that's about all. So yeah.